Have you been watching the Apple TV Plus original series Severance? Now admittedly, when I watched the first episode, I was intrigued, but not sure that I was going to be into the show. The season finale has just aired, so is it worth the binge? Mark leads a team of office workers whose memories have been surgically divided between their work and personal lives. When a mysterious colleague appears outside of work, it begins a journey to discover the truth about their jobs. So this comes from executive producer and the majority director Ben Stiller. It is a beautifully crafted and shot series that focuses on this small group of office workers who have had their brains surgically severed so that their work life is completely separated from their non-work life. The series stars Adam Scott, Britt Lower, John Turturro, Zach Cherry, Patricia Arquette, and Tramell Tillman. Now, this is a quietly eerie and disconcerting series. For a good portion of the show, there is a massive amount of mystery surrounding everything. And this is made all the more intriguing because of the quiet and patient storytelling where characters act in vague and monotonous ways. They're subdued and almost detached, which also brings about some very weird eccentricities. We get glimpses of life outside of work, and those scenes only work to enhance the mystery even more. Adam Scott is Mark, and he becomes the team lead in his office after his work best friend abruptly leaves the company. Mark has an odd encounter outside of work, but because he has zero clue as to what his work actually entails or even who he works with inside the office, this encounter begins to raise questions in his mind that we get just a sense that may have been brewing unbeknownst to him for quite some time. The casting in this is phenomenal. Adam Scott is just the right amount of snarky and sarcastic, but also plays a timid everyman very well. Patricia Arquette is his boss, and she is creepy, overbearing, and stern, but she's also quietly fearful for reasons we just don't always really get to see. John Turturro is one of the standouts in this, which is saying something because the whole cast is awesome. But Turturro, he's so quirky, stiff, he's by the book, and almost off-putting in his mannerisms. But he's also got this massive inquisitiveness to him that leads to some fun discoveries for the story. Britt Lower plays Helly, who is a new addition to the team, and her story arc really brings a darkness to the reality of their working situation. Now, when she gets there, that's when more of the personal consequences of having your brain severed are really examined, and she executes the role in ways that are engaging and then heartbreaking. Zach Cherry is some of the comic relief in this, as he is a bizarre office mate who totally understands his motivations and then he fully embraces them. He's gruff sometimes, but this also comes across as humorous because of his excellent delivery. In probably one of the most nicely menacing roles, Tramell Tillman plays Mr. Milchick, who is the assistant to Patricia Arquette. Now, this dude is all smiles and fun, but also no-nonsense business when it's called for. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's ex-military because of the precision and authority in which he goes about his actions in the office. Now, as the show goes along, the intrigue is increased because of small discoveries that open up new doors of mystery. And this is one of those shows that was very frustrating to watch because it came out weekly, and so many of those episodes ended on some sort of cliffhanger. In fact, in the penultimate episode, it ends mid-action, leaving us to wait another week for how it plays out. But now that the whole first season has aired, this is one to binge from start to finish and experience the awesomeness all at once. Now, for me, the first episode took a bit to get into. I was very intrigued and engrossed in what I was, but the tone was so different than anything that I'd watched in quite a while that I thought I was going to have to put myself into a new mindset in order to be in the mood to watch. But that turned out to be just for the first episode. Now, don't get me wrong, the whole series is odd, but it's not something that is so off the wall that you can't get into it right away. And I'm really glad that I kept watching because the show turns out to be one of the greatest shows I've seen, at least for a premiere season. Now, we are going to have to see how they handle it from here on. As the story goes along, the scenarios get more intense with anxiety and urgency that drove up my heart rate. And I'd be lying if I say this show didn't make me yell at the TV a few times, because especially in those latter episodes, there are moments that are just so intense that I needed an emotional release of that tension. As one of the story elements within this, there are core beliefs that the company adheres to and is guided by. Now, I found myself wondering if this show was a commentary on religion. And while I think there are certainly elements that could be doing that, I'm not totally sure that the sort of commentary is the goal, at least yet. And maybe it's because in one aspect, having your consciousness severed so that you can function in this segregated reality, giving over the authority of how your brain functions, can be seen as following a religious sect, especially given how some of the mantras are completed within the show. But even if there isn't a commentary on religion, this is still a very thought-provoking series, examining what are the pros and cons of being able to separate your work life from your home life. Well, part of that sounds like it could be amazing. The other part sounds like it would be absolute hell. I mean, for the innie who only knows work, you never leave. I mean, there's never a vacation. There's never a weekend. All you know and experience is getting off the elevator, coming in and doing your job, getting back in the elevator to then wake back up with a new day, starting just right as you get off the elevator to begin working again. And I know the flip side of that is that you never have to go to work. I mean, your Audi gets to experience all the bliss of a never-ending vacation, but you're still missing massive chunks of every workday. That missing time would probably begin to weigh on you, which when both innie and Audi experiences are then combined, a mental fracture or a meltdown seems like a very real possibility. All right, well, that was a fairly depressing tangent, but the show is not depressing at all. I mean, sure, there is darkness and melancholy, but there are also some very funny moments as well because the characters are just such a joy to watch, even when they are, or the situations themselves, are very awkward. So overall, Severance is an intense emotional ride filled with anxiety, mystery, urgency, and emotion. The acting is stellar, and it's all the more fun to watch thanks to cinematography that is nothing short of spectacular. There's a ton of visual symmetry, in addition to the shots that look like they come from a British production, making every scene beautiful to experience. And each of the episodes ranges from 40 minutes long to just under an hour, and every single one of them is absolutely compelling television. The storytelling will hook you and then frustrate you in the best way possible, creating situations and scenarios that are harrowing, exciting, and nail-biting. There's no sex or nudity, but there's a lot of profanity and some violence. I give season 1 of Severance 5 out of 5 couches. Don't miss this show. Do yourself a favor. Get it. Watch it. Binge it. Okay, so have you been watching this one? What'd you think of it? What are you looking forward to in the upcoming second season? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.